Hello, are you ready to conceive, carry and deliver a healthy baby? And I'm your host, Inna Duckworth, a fertility support expert with the podcast Ready-2-Conceive. And today I've got a very, very, very special guest. I mean, to be honest, all of my guests are very special, but each of them is like a gem and I'd like to talk to them, and like it's very difficult to stop those podcasts. So today we're welcoming Heather Smith, and I'm handing over to Heather to tell us through what she's doing and what we're talking about today.
Thanks, Inna. Hi. Yeah, I've been a personal trainer and nutrition advisor for about 15 years now. Do you know, I love it. I think the relationships that you're able to build with clients as a personal trainer is kind of unique. You know, we go through so many life phases, and it's so nice to be able to work alongside people and help them make the right adjustments to focus on different things at different times. I think personal training has become associated with just workouts and gym sessions, but actually when it's done really well, it's so much more than that. I think a client and personal trainer can build a really lifelong kind of partnership together, and it's so valuable, and I can't think of many people who you would build that same relationship with. So overall, my job is to help clients or facilitate clients achieving great things. So we work together to get their body working well and feeling great, and we work towards having really good relationships with food and exercise. So yeah.
Well, welcome. That's exactly kind of, we've got a bit of overlap where my part of the job is to support with nutrition as well. But then we say, and like we say, any something about health, we say, and exercise. And like, okay, and there you are. So there's Heather, who can tell us all we need to know about exercise. And obviously we are talking about the context of conception, but I do want to open it a bit wider, because when somebody wants to have a child, in principle, there's like, if you look at like a wider lifespan, life goals, and you're in your 30s and you think, we would like to have a child, maybe not now, maybe a bit later, it still has got this context of exercise and being toned and prepared and everything. So I'd like you to talk us a bit more of your approach. Say you're building this relationship with your clients, and like they're telling you, you know what, we'll be thinking about a baby. You're saying, yeah, great. And then what is your approach? How would you approach to help them be prepared for that?
Okay, well, obviously, as you say, exercise always comes, doesn't it, in the same sentence. I'm going to get healthy and exercise. It's always the same thing. And I think depending on your goals, the way that you want to exercise should be slightly different. So when we're thinking fertility, I always think keep the goal in mind. You know, what we're trying to do with a fertility-based approach to exercise is to take the benefits from the exercise rather than trying to beat your body into submission, because that could be counterproductive. You know, the stress hormones and everything else, that has a potential to be counterproductive. So when I'm looking at making an exercise plan for somebody, I would first look at general activity. So general activity I think of as just day-to-day non-exercise exercise. So it's not doing exercise for the sake of it. I think it's just not sitting down all day. So that might be 10,000 steps a day, or working towards that kind of number if it's a long way off. I think that's like the foundation that all of your exercise needs to come from. And I think once we've got that in place for somebody, we then look at structured exercise. So structured exercise is exercise because it's exercise. So that's going to an exercise class or going to the gym to do something. That's a specific workout. Now, I'm a really big fan of resistance exercise for all sorts of goals, but also for fertility as well.
Okay, so I hear you and I absolutely love it, but I've got a question. But let me just quickly comment on that. I remember working with one of women before I started working in fertility, and I did a lot of work with perimenopause women. And I remember that she's so driven and amazingly like achieving person. And then we had all this lockdown and stuff, and she got stuck at home. And I was like, okay, we need you to get out. And she's like, well, there's nothing I need, you know? And so we kind of negotiated, and she created a little kind of bird feeding space in the nearby, like sort of woods So for her, it was a daily routine then to go there, feed the birds and come back. And that was 20 minutes one way, a little bit of time there and 20 minutes back. And this is like, I'm just saying that for somebody, this could be a start. If you're somebody who needs a goal, just create this goal, you know, just like think about where you can do that. And obviously, we know that 20 minutes walk after any meal helps you to balance your insulin and like sugar insulin system. Now, I would really like you to tell us what is resistance training, like what it covers, what's possible, what we're talking about.
So resistance training is, I suppose, the immediate picture that pops to mind is the muscle-clad teenager in the gym, pumping iron, kissing their biceps in front of the mirror, that person. And and that is resistance training, but it doesn't have to be, fortunately, it doesn't have to be that. So you can go in the gym and lift weights if that's what you like. You can go in the gym and use the fixed machine things that people use as well, or you can do stuff at home. So people use resistance bands. And people do stuff with their own body weight as well. So examples that you would know would be press ups, squats, lunges. And you can do those just at home with body weight, and then you can create different ways to progress them and make them a little harder at the right stage when you need to. So yeah, that's what resistance training is. It is just across the board the most effective type of exercise. It's the most broadly effective type of exercise, and again, thinking fertility, the biggest benefit of that has got to be hormone balancing. So the resistance exercise is stimulating release of growth hormone, and then that is helping build some muscle and use up some body fat. That's then improving insulin sensitivity, so helping with blood sugar management as well. It also has been shown to rebalance sex hormones in both men and women as well. And when you get the dose right, resistance exercise can help to balance your cortisol levels across the day and just improve sleep quality as well, which is also always important, hey? And I think it's important, just to remember that the resistance training I'm talking about is strength focused. So that's like doing a few squats, taking a rest, doing a few more squats, taking a rest, rather than this like popular CrossFit kind of style or HIIT style, circuit style, where you're racing from this to that and throwing some aerobic stuff in the middle. That has got its uses. But I think when we're looking at a fertility approach here, I think that the strength stuff is going to be more useful for those people.
Does Pilates count in resistance?
Does what count, sorry?
Pilates.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think it can do. I think my mind always used to go to things like yoga and Pilates and go, stretching in a corner. But do you know what? I mean, every time I've ever done these classes, I always come out very humbled by them. They're so difficult. And yeah, I mean, you know, look, it's practicing using your body and using it in a strong way without overdoing everything. So yeah, I think that could count. But I don't think I would make that the mainstay of a strength-based program. It could be part of it, but I don't think I would make it the mainstay.
Yeah. Okay. And so when we're talking about like a dose, so we know there's like understanding that PCOS is one of the maybe top in the very top sort of infertility sort of connected situations. I don't want to label things. I'm trying to be kind of more gentle here because I think a lot of things are reversible and can be worked at. So I don't want to kind of create a label. That's it.
Yeah.
So with PCOS, we know that there is a situation of high testosterone with that. And if somebody how do you feel about this connection with exercising and boosting even more testosterone? How would you address that?
I think the best way to look at exercise, particularly resistance exercise, is that it will have a balancing effect. So that sounds like a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's true. I mean, it does, but it's true nonetheless. You know, I think with testosterone, there is a transient increase in it during your workout and potentially afterwards. But there was some studies, there was a 16-week study which showed a marked reduction in androgens across the board during this study. And obviously the free androgens are responsible for hair loss and facial hair and all of those things. So yeah, across the board, that's having just a balancing effect. Because it's also true to say that it can increase some testosterone if you've got estrogen dominance going on as well. You can get a boost in testosterone as well from resistance exercise. They all sort of sound like they're contradicting each other, all these answers, but I think the bottom line is there's a balancing effect of exercise.
And well, I marvel how prepared you are, like with the research and everything. I like, for our listeners, I think that it's a very, very good sign if somebody comes to work with Heather. That's how she works. If somebody comes to a podcast with the research, then be sure that they will come to your question prepared. That's, I marvel that. I respect that a lot. So the balance, the balance, like, do you think people are capable of reaching this balance themselves, or they would or they really need someone to show them this is your balance, this is where you are? How do you feel about it?
I think working with a coach is always useful because it's somebody who can filter through like the thousands of bits of advice that we're wading through all the time. It's somebody who can help you just figure out what you need to do. But at the same time, all the information you need to achieve anything is already out there on the internet for free. You've just got to be prepared and objective enough, I suppose, to be able to put that into place for yourself. It's certainly possible to do these things on your own. You've got to know where you're starting from, where you want to go, and what little things you want to do along the way. And a coach just makes that easier to do, hey?
And accountability as well, because you kind of feel nicer when you kind of know that there's somebody who can keep an eye on you, if you like.
Absolutely, someone who's going to check in and make sure it's all going okay. I mean, look, I try not to be a sergeant major.
Well, but I think people choose how they want it. You can always kind of negotiate it, doesn't it? Like somebody said, like, I need a bit more push, or I need a bit less push. I'd like to come back to the balance, because probably this would be fair to say that we've got I think that we've got like sort of two extremes and one in between. The first extreme, and I'd like us to talk about all kind of three, if you like. One is somebody who's over exercised and they really enjoy the intense training. They're like, amazingly fit, if you like, and if not ideal maybe for fertility. And I'd like you to talk about that. And then the other side of things is somebody who has been told that, your first step to fertility is to lose weight. Your BMI is too high. And I'd like to talk about that as well. And then everyone's in the middle, sort of, which we've already talked about, this balance. You can choose, either you are looking at filtering through the internet and finding the set for you, or you're having help. So let's talk about the two extremes, starting from over exercising, like running, jumping, military boot camp, 5 times a week. So what is kind of fertility advice here?
Okay. Oh, you're so right. People are one extreme or the other, aren't they? They're like, I don't like exercise, it's not for me. And then you've got the sort of the gym bunny and the person who loves intense exercise, and they don't feel like they've done a workout unless they're sort of lying on the floor half dead at the end of it. And I think if you are wired like that, it's really easy to overdo it. If you're used to that, you can still do that. It's not going to harm your fertility to continue doing some of that. But the trick is getting the dose right. Hey, so if you're doing 5, 6, 7 of those every week, as I've met quite a lot of people who do, you're boosting up your stress hormones, and then that's having like a cascade of counterproductive effects. And not only that, it's like the recovery time that you need. If you need a lot of time to recover from your workouts, then that's taking away capability of other stuff in your system, isn't it? I think the stress hormones have a massive impact. Blood sugar, fluctuating blood sugar, and it's important to remember that we're not athletes. You know, we hear like, yeah, go and do more exercise. More exercise is better. We're not athletes. Hey, we've also got life stress. We don't just get up and eat and exercise and then eat and sleep. That's not our lives. We get up and we run around after this, that, and the other. We go to work. We've got this life stress, that life stress. So then piling on what would be a pretty high intensity workout on top of that all the time isn't going to be a useful thing. But if you're already doing quite a lot of that and you brought it down to 1 or 2 of those a week, so you're still getting that fix, then that could still be very acceptable. And you would then replace the rest of the week, maybe another 2 or 3 sessions of this specific strength focused workout as well. I think that would be a really good balance for somebody.
And I also like my take on that there's several takes here. I'll quickly run through. One is, I am doing, as you know, I'm doing some nutrigenomics work, and I'm trained in nutrigenomics, and a lot of women with PCOS or like high testosterone, they've got a specific SNP on one of the genes that I call the Amazona gene, because that's the one that helps us to achieve, to deliver and stuff like that. So like, a lot of women who are in that category, they are like genetically predisposed to that. But having a baby is like a different state. It's a state of where you are like, something is moving without moving. So I think it's important to kind of readjust and start welcoming this, a little bit of stillness in your life as well, which I think, well, this is where I'm talking, for example, about things like yin yogas, like yoga nidra or something like that, or a little bit of a dance class where you can just a bit of like invite a little bit of like, I don't know, not quite stillness, but invite a little bit of unpredictability, if you like, a little bit accept them, that because a lot of women who do that, they like to be in control, and I'm totally there. I like to be in control of like my life as well, but this point where you need to surrender, if you like, that something will be happening with you, to you, and you need to allow the process, give space to the process. So
yeah, that's a great idea. Almost like just trying something new, perhaps, hey, as well. It's kind of inviting the process. I like that thought process. I hadn't really thought of anything like that. That's a really nice way of looking at it.
Oh, thank you. I spend my days. So.
I think the bottom line really is thinking of exercise as a tool, as like a way to get to your goal, and it's not the goal in itself. Hey, sometimes it might be, if it wasn't fertility and you were trying to be an athlete and you're trying to reach this level, the exercise is the goal. But from fertility, it's not. We're trying to get the benefits out of it without getting any of the potential bad effects. I think it's such a human thing, isn't it? We go like, exercise is good, more must be better. So human.
Yes, there's 2 things. First of all, the first thing you said is about exercising without exercising, like a purposeful walk. Like when we talk about 10,000 steps, okay, talking about literally climbing the steps. I mean, for me, it's you can go on a really nice walk once a week in like your local park, your local natural kind of something, and this will be the benefit of both the nature and the exercise. That is also a workout, if you like, in itself.
Absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to say, I'm working with a woman, and we have done a Dutch test. For those who are listening, they know that I'm a Dutch test addict. Dutch is a dry urine comprehensive hormone test, which shows us not only your sex hormones, but like sort of not like when you do a blood test, it's like what you've got in the bank. But when you do a Dutch test, it's like what your body has done with the money. That's like your like sort of split. How did you spend your salary? Or how did you spend your money? So that shows us what's happening. And it's also looking at your adrenal hormones, cortisol, and it's also looking at the sex hormones, and it's also looking at indirectly, it's looking at the way your body uses adrenaline and dopamine and all of that, and all together it creates one beautiful picture. And so I'm working with a woman, I'm doing her test, and I can clearly see that something's not right. Okay, and I'm saying, what are you doing within the first hour of your awakening? What are you doing? Because there's clearly like a dynamic there where she needs more cortisol. She really clearly needs or uses up more cortisol, because she's got like we've got a storage of cortisol in a form of cortisone, which is like the body, that's like storage really. And then the body uses it to make cortisol, very active hormone. And I'm asking you, what's she doing? And she says, oh, I start my day with a heavy, like whatever exercise she's doing. I'm like, and she's like, oh, I'm knackered all the time. I'm like, and, so that's like, that's exactly where it's too much, clearly too much. You need to readjust it. Your body, not me, I love this type of test because your body is telling you that is too much. You need to readjust.
I think, people would say the morning was a great time to do a workout, but we're also individual, aren't we? So sometimes it's better to do something slightly at a different time of the day. If you're not getting that cortisol spike in the morning, then you kind of try and get some benefit from exercise later in the day when it was better.
Yes, and also like in her case, I think it was the intensity. So I'm happy for her. That's like, I found that I've got a window in the morning where I can exercise, and I really like this window. I probably wanted to exercise later, but I know that for me, the way my day is structured, this is the best time now. So I'm just adjusting to what I can do at that window. So it's about this kind of flexibility again, and understanding that, do you say if somebody is super knackered after the workout, that was too much? How would you,
not good sign.
Practicality, how would you say, if they were trying to gauge their workload themselves, how would you say, what should be the sort of the feeling, the sensation after the workout?
I think I would look at the whole person as a whole picture. So rather than focusing on this bit of time after a workout, because, ultimately sometimes it is a good idea to work a little bit harder, and sometimes it is a good idea to work a little less hard. You're gonna look at your whole picture. So are you sleeping well? Because, if you're overdoing stuff, sometimes sleep becomes a difficult thing. How is your energy overall? So like this lady you're saying, and she's tired all the time, that's a good sign she's not recovering from her exercise. How's your appetite? Because sometimes your appetite can actually go through the floor, can't it, if you're over exercising and not doing so much. Those kinds of things, I think, give you more information than that kind of half-hour window after you've done your workout. But of course, you might be getting a useful signal half an hour after your workout, but I would always take it in conjunction with everything else, as well as part of a bigger picture.
That makes sense, of course. All right. Do you think we've covered over exercising, or you've got something else to add here?
No, I think we've covered that. I think we've covered that. Do you?
Yeah, I think we did. And okay, let's talk about the more sort of, maybe, I don't know, is it more frequent, more common? That the first thing where women hear is that you need to lose weight. Now, those who know or don't know, some NHS criteria for women or couples going through IVF are very strict about BMI. They will not take a couple if the BMI is higher than such and such.
Right.
And this is where there's a lot of, I would say, a lot of unnecessary pressure. But let's talk about that. Say your BMI is too high, and you want to have a baby. So what's the kind of thinking?
Yeah, okay. Well, I agree with you. It's not very useful, is it? That, while the fact might be true that reducing your BMI might well be a useful thing, there's no magic number. Magic doesn't happen when you reach a certain number, unfortunately. I think my advice would be just aim to keep improving. Focus on your behaviors. So your workout routine, getting your steps in every day, things that add up to improving your diet, getting better sleep quality, all of that stuff. And I think as that improves, the whole picture improves. Maybe the BMI will come down a bit as part of that. Probably the BMI will come down as part of that. But I think it's the working towards improving stuff all the time is the most useful action you can take. It gives you some control, doesn't it? Rather than only focusing on this one number that you're trying to bring down. I think, we're not talking about overnight changes, are we? We're talking about things that are going to take a while to action. But what else can you do apart from keep plugging away? I think do begin to change, just keep focusing on the behaviors, keep making small changes. And I think you'll be able to look back after a couple of months and see a big difference. You know, it's not an overnight thing, but you focus on the changes you're trying to make, consistently doing it, and just kind of trust that the whole process will give you the results that you're looking for. The other thing, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing that I would do as well is find things which aren't only BMI and scales related to focus on. So it might be like size, you might get a tape measure out, you might look at the fit of your clothes, you know, that sort of stuff is quite useful as well. But you could also look at other metrics, like you're saying about the Dutch test, you could look at blood test results and just see how the things that you're putting into place, what an impact those are having. Maybe even doing your own blood sugar readings as well. Maybe that could be.
Yes. We've been working with continuous blood sugar monitors, and it's amazing how much insight you can get into that.
Absolutely.
The other thing is a lot of one of the companies I work with just launched a specific genetic nutrigenomic testing, which is metabolic profiling.
Right.
Just been doing the training on that. And what they're saying is there's like 6 areas that are impacting your metabolism. And some genetic, again, modifications means that people will have just be heavier and have a stubborn weight. And it doesn't, the benefit of nutrigenomics versus just genetic testings is that we're talking about modifiable factors. Yes, we know that you have got this SNP on this gene, but it also means that you can work on it. The reports are based on what we can change. And this is where I'm tying it in, that a lot of women say, if you look, they say, oh, I'm not eating anything and I'm still high, like I'm heavy or my weight is high. Well, that's exactly what my job is to look at, is to find why you are heavy, what's happening, because we know that a lot of insulin resistance is there, a lot of inflammation is there, things like mold exposure, the like other dysbiosis factors, gut health, that is all there. And it is so, once you get these things in place, the weight will start shifting in a different maybe way. And another thing to add here is, if doing all this work, we can bring back your periods, or we can have you will have regular periods, and your partner's health. Most likely, what my work is that I work with couples to both couple come to see me, and we do work with a male partner and a female partner, so that they both work together. They work as a team, and if one is reducing carbs or reducing bread and sugar, the other one is participating in that as well.
Yeah.
Both as a team, over time, they get to a point where they can actually have a healthy baby with the BMI more than it was advisable. But having everything back in place, it's still possible. That's where I want to give hope. But it doesn't mean that you don't have to do the work.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And all of that is so much more useful, isn't it, than if you are at X BMI, then the magic's going to happen, because that's not true. You know, we both know that's not true. Hey.
No. It's absolutely. And also the other thing is that, like, what are the circumstances that are, like, for me, exercising is about enjoying your body.
Yes.
And enjoy.
Not a means to an end.
Yeah, it's like literally when I'm talking about going for a walk, this is probably my favorite type of exercise, followed by swimming, and followed by doing some resistance work, because I enjoy it. I'm not very good at it. You can look at me. I'm probably not the gym bunny, but I really enjoy what I'm doing. And so that's
all that matters. Hey, practice something, get better at it, and enjoy it. And
yes. Well, so that's also like the part of the sort of mental, emotional work. Bring it back to, what's happening. How are you with that?
And that ties back in, I guess, with the shift in mindset from somebody who's like the exercise lover, the hard, intense workout lover. That's all about the sweat and the feeling of achievement. And I've done this, versus the enjoyment, like the celebration of what your body can do. Hey, those are the important things to get out of it. And as you say, I think that's much more effective, especially from a fertility point of view, than the outcome related exercise for an end goal kind of purpose.
And we kind of been talking, I just had a thought as you were saying, and I've just had this. So do you work with men as well? Or how does it work? Would you work with a couple? How does it work?
I do work with men as well. And I do have several male clients as well. I don't directly work with people as couples, not because I don't, but because it's so often the case that, like you say, one person kind of wants to lower carbs and the other person kind of accidentally does it. Generally, the man's eating far too much and the lady's not eating enough, and it doesn't really work that well. And then the same kind of thing's true with the workouts as well. You know, the man might be naturally stronger, so wants to do slightly different versions of the exercises, whereas the lady might need to start from a different point. And I don't find that's very... like, it's not very motivational. You're sort of always going, oh, he's doing so much different to me and I must be really lazy. It's not really a very good state of mind, because there's just differences between the two. But often, like you say, one person starts doing something, the other person kind of gets dragged along a little, and they kind of work together that way, and that seems to be quite effective.
Okay, so tell us, how would you, well, I'd like to answer two questions. One is, how would you help someone get started? So I want to have a baby, and what about, like, how would they start with the exercising? And I'd like you to tell us how you work with people. So what do you do? How you can support?
Okay, well, so in terms of getting started, I think, like we just said before, I think that's the trouble. There's so much information out there that you just get bamboozled, and you just go, what is relevant to me? What do I do? How do I start? I don't know, I'm going to go and eat a slice of cake. That's my approach to things. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it. So I think that is where working with a personal trainer is really useful. But like I said before, you can figure things out for yourself, at least to some degree. I think the first thing to do is again, this be nice to yourself thing. Remember that every positive change is a positive change. Things don't have to be all or nothing. I think it is repeatedly shown that small, frequent wins or successes, whatever you want to call them, are much more likely to give you long-term success than infrequently achieving bigger goals. So this is why I talk about behavior-related targets over outcome-related targets. Because you're winning because you're doing the thing that you set out to do. You're not like deferring the success until you reach the outcome. So I think that's the first thing I would try and do, is find some behavior-related targets. And so, then
like, just if you say that behavior related target is like, I am exercising 2 times a week, and this is already my goal, and this is achievement.
The behavior is going to the gym, or doing a workout, or getting an extra 1,000 steps, or going for a 20-minute walk after you've eaten, or any of those things are all behavior outcome. They're not the outcome isn't the outcome, it's behavior related.
So, and it makes a lot of sense. If you kind of start doing that and you start praising yourself for that, you get more dopamine, which is
absolutely, and it helps with the consistency.
And it kind of it's not like you are like beating yourself up for like a month. I've not lost this 1 kg, I've not lost this whatever, a stone, or whatever the target is, or I am, you know, or haven't gained, that's another topic, or haven't gained this 1 kg or something. So rather than that, we're talking about, I'm doing it, I'm kind to myself, kind of thing. Okay, that's
doing what I set out to do. Well done, me. And that's a lovely, powerful position, isn't it? Because I think control is a useful thing, isn't it? You feel like you're in charge of something. I think that's really useful. And I think once you've got those behavior-related targets, I just start where you are. You know, yes, it might be that we want to do 10,000 steps a day, but if you're lucky to reach 1,000 at the minute, that's ridiculous to say, right, from tomorrow, go and do 10,000.
That's, you know, this is our modern social media mindset. What I'm passionate about, shall we say, is that everything should be superb. You know, everything, like,
everything should be perfect.
I've just turned up and I should be that, or this Instagram fitness and stuff like that. life doesn't quite work like that. You need time. Give yourself time to do that, you know.
Yeah, that's all very damaging, all that stuff, isn't it? It's got
Yes,
the potential to be very damaging.
yes, and comparison, constant comparison. They've done that. Oh, I'm not there. Well, you are where you are, and it's your journey. I would say here something that is very like sort of personal, that I've realized that, for example, I love my morning exercises. I really like, I really do. And but if I'm too tired in the evening, or I didn't rest enough, I can't do them. I really like, I'm not in there. So I have to adjust my lifestyle to make sure that I'm in bed by X time, and I'm not that tired, and I haven't been scrolling through very important Instagram posts by other experts and somebody else learning some new stuff. No. So this is my commitment to my health, that I want to do my exercise in the mornings. This is how I approach it. And this is what I'd like our listeners to take as a takeout from that. Even small things will still require some changes. Like it's not happening. And first of all, there's no point trying to set up a goal of 10,000 if you haven't done 1,000.
Exactly.
And to do this 1,000, you need to start adjusting. You need to start thinking, okay, well, if I eat too much in the evening, I might not feel really nice to exercise in the morning. Or if I have the big lunch or whatever, or I didn't have lunch or something else, I can't exercise. So all of that is kind of, you know, kind of building this into your life. It's your life's fabric, how you live your life. Is there space for exercise in your life? Okay. Like sometimes, okay, yes, I know I work on social media, like I present and da-da-da and da-da-da. Sometimes it's shocking how much hours the telephone tells me I've spent this week on my phone.
On your screen,
No way. But then I'm like, okay, well, this was work, you know, this was that. But sort of this sort of thinking, like starting with creating this space for your exercise, I think is super important.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's really important. Hey, it's like manage it from the front, if you like, and start to notice what impacts stuff, but it's not from a judgmental point of view. No, I ate chocolate last night, so I can't exercise today, or I'm a terrible person. It's just not useful. You go, when I eat chocolate at 10 o'clock at night, I don't have the energy to get up the next morning to exercise. Oh, that's interesting. And I think when you can start to draw the lines like that, you get a different relationship with it. So it's not chocolate is bad. It's actually, this is serving me, that isn't serving me. So
I love my chocolate. I love my chocolate.
I love chocolate, yeah. Me too, but it's so true. I mean, I notice the same thing. If I eat chocolate and then try and go out into my little gym outside, I am just hopeless. I'm just like, what happened to my body? Oh, I fueled it badly. Oh yeah, that makes sense. But then you draw a line under it, you do better next time and you move on. It's not, there's no punishment, it's got to be objective.
Yes. It's like, it's almost like a date with yourself, you know, for those who remember dating and stuff.
Before everybody did it online. The old-fashioned
yes, you kind of get ready.
Yeah.
You don't overeat before you go on a date just because you want to look nice and stuff like that. So this is like a date with yourself. You know, you're
absolutely and consistently doing it. And often you're the hardest person to do stuff for. Hey, that's the thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. The consistency is important. And, you know, I would much rather somebody said, look, I get 800 steps at the minute every day. And we said, great, how about we do 1,200 steps every day for the next week? And they went, well, that's like a 20-minute walk. I can do that. What's the problem? I'd much rather that they achieved that than they said, I can do 10,000 steps, and they do it for 2 days and they're aching and they haven't got the time, they've not built the habit in. I'd much rather these small steps, because you get to the 1,200 steps and you go, great, let's do 2,000 steps and just gradually sneak it up. Again, that's more behaviors and more small wins.
For me, it's all ties in with the what is so for me, literally, it all ties in with your, like, what's your goals in life? What's your purpose? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want? Okay. I want a baby. Right. When you get a baby, they are very fast as soon as they start walking and running. So you need all this energy to support them. And just reconsidering, I think that the major goal should be probably something like, I have enough energy to live my life. I think that if somebody had this as a thinking, as a goal, I have enough energy to live my life,
Yeah.
long, happy, and ideally just active sort of older years as well. If that is a goal and you put it in front of you, then everything starts getting in place. Okay, is my job feeding this goal? Yes, it gives me money, good, but it's got long hours. Can I work on that? Can I do something about it? And then, and all of that, if that's like sort of, if you have got that somewhere in your like diary, then you'll start finding time for exercising, you'll start finding time for going to nature, because that's something that feeds you to leave this. You got a bit frozen, Heather. Are you with me? Sorry. I hope we didn't lose Heather. It's a really interesting conversation. Hello, hello, hello. I will pause for a second. Are you back? You got frozen for a second. You're back, you're back, you're back.
My pause face was okay. It's all right.
Oh, good, good, good. Well, I was just going on about the goals in life and stuff.
I know, I heard you. The only thing was that I was going to say was, yeah, this brings me back to how you get started, and that was exactly what I was going to say. Is get crystal clear about what it is that you're trying to achieve. So, like, what area you want to work on. So is it your blood sugar balance because you've got polycystic ovaries? Is it high testosterone? What is it that you're trying to work on? And then work out, what do you need to do in order to get there? So it might be, I need to be a lot more active. I need to get a strength training routine. I need to work on my diet. I need to figure out how to sleep. Write a list of all these things and then go, whew, that's a lot of stuff. Which one can I do the most easily? Walk. Great. How many steps are you doing at the minute? Well, I think I'm doing whatever. Great. Let's add a bit onto that. What do you think you could realistically do every single day for the rest of your life? Well, I think I could do this realistically. Great. Move on. Do that one. Make that a goal. Make that happen. Get it into a routine. And then go back to your list and look for the next step. Because, going back to the information, there's so much information out there. And we're told, oh, you should eat blueberries because they're good for this, but you shouldn't eat blueberries because they're not good for this. And it's just so much information. I think being crystal clear on what you are trying to achieve is really important, just like you say.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. That's exactly. And with food as well, like if you're not seeking advice, okay, if you're just not in a position to get a professional advice like we do, then I stick with my mantra: eat food, mainly veg, not too much. That's I think it was Linus Pauling, I think the founder of the all the kind of nutrition supplement thinking. Eat food, mainly veg, not too much.
And just eat good quality, real food, and it'll
food
probably
means,
get you most of the way.
Food means the distance between the actual product and your plate. Not more than 2 steps, I think. Like, so it's not processed and stuff like that. Then mainly veg, well, obviously, because it's all the rainbow palette and everything, and not too much, because if you're just the act of overeating bumps your insulin resistance, and that's it. And the research, the presentation I was at yesterday on this new metabolic profiling is that people on average overeat by 30% on average.
It's incredible, isn't it?
30%.
And things like eating not in front of a screen or while you're distracted. That brings your calorie intake, I think it was 10 or 15% by doing that. And you think that's a great example actually of a behavior goal, isn't it? The outcome goal is I'm going to eat 10% less calories every day now. The behavior goal is I'm going to be present when I eat. I'm going to turn the computer off. I'm going to sit and focus on what I'm doing. Both of them result in the same amount of calorie reduction.
I can tell you something. As I go older, I really need less food. That. And something that, for example, like finishing eating earlier in the day, which is like intermittent fasting type thing, was not, I wouldn't have thought about it 15 years ago. I was hungry. I was literally hungry. Now I'm not. And so it brings this idea that I really like my food. So if I have less food, I don't want to watch anything. I don't want to talk to really anyone when I'm eating. I know, like sometimes when you have social situations, yes, but really like to eat.
Yeah, just be present and enjoy the thing you've been looking forward to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, kind of, yes. I know that, well, it's not like we are kind of trying to make people sociopathic. No, food and sharing is an important part of life, but just sort of understanding that then if you have food, enjoy it. And like,
yeah.
You know, I tell you something. There was this point as well, like, again, it's like behavioral change is like, notice when you've had enough. And you can still finish this portion if you feel like it, but this first step of noticing, well, actually, enough was a bit earlier. And this will also start bringing this awareness. Maybe just, if I had eaten slowly, like a bit less quickly, I would have been able to stop when I had enough.
Yeah, because it takes a while, doesn't it, for the satisfied hormone, whichever, you know that better than me, the hormone that tells you that you're satisfied. That takes a long time to rise up, doesn't it? And if you're hoovering up your food, then you do eat a lot more leptin.
Yes. But people again get genetic SNPs, and then you need to understand how you're going to do that. For example, if you do have this SNP, maybe you need to kind of make your food a bit bulkier in terms of like veg. Like, for example, a bit like rougher veg, so you kind of need to chew it a bit longer. So then you can, you know, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, how would people work with you? Tell us more about where you are. How do you work, and like what would people, you know, just your moment.
Well, so look, I work with people face to face, and I work with people remotely via video, just like this, and it works really well. Actually, I've done it since just after, or just as COVID started, and actually 99% of people really enjoy it. So it seems to work really well. You can set yourself up, and it works a real treat. So I do both options still, and I see some people weekly, I see some people fortnightly, and I see some people monthly. And it depends entirely on how you are with sort of following a plan that's set out for you as to which approach suits people best. So I do a variety of things. And yeah, I mean, look, if people wanted to have some help to figure out where they're best to put their efforts in order to get the most like impactful changes, then I'd love to help them in a, you know, in a realistic way. I think these sorts of conversations sometimes sound a bit like idealistic, don't they? And we sort of sound a bit like matters, and actually I don't think that's the approach that either of us have at all, is it? So I think you're pointing out we have a bit of a realistic kind of approach. Yeah, that's how I work. Yeah.
So if somebody, for example, just to start with, can somebody like reach out to you and have an assessment of their physique, and you can tell them that for your conception goal you would need to do that, and then you decide that you're going to have a discussion, and you say like, okay, I can help you like sort of settle into this routine via weekly sessions, and then as you get,
and then drop down to slightly less often. Yeah, absolutely. So I offer a free consultation, so people can have a chat with me and explain their situation. We can look at where might be the most important areas to look at changing first. We can talk about how the whole journey might look, although things often change once you start going along. And then if we feel like we're quite a good fit for each other, because that's important, you're going to get on with somebody, then we could go on and do what I call a consultation, where we make a plan in a much more in-depth way. We look at posture and movement, because you might as well work to make your body move as well as it can do. You got to do some exercises, so you might as well work to make your body work as well as it can. And then, as you say, we can then go monthly, weekly, monthly, fortnightly, whatever suits.
Whatever works. Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Well, that sounds really amazing, and I think I think we've covered so much. I mean, we both speak quite quickly, so it's kind of
you're gonna do quite a lot of stuff.
Yes. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we bring this to a closure today?
I don't think there is. Hey, I don't think I can think of anything that we haven't covered.
Yes, I think we've covered quite a bit, and I hope this is really helpful for somebody who's just starting this journey or in the middle of this journey. And I think the main takeout is, for me, like from this, is enjoy, do what you can, and be very clear on your goals. Sort of, this is how I would summarize it.
Slow, steady, consistent progress.
Yes, yes, slow, steady, consistent. I love it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, our dear listeners. So please comment under this podcast in whatever platform you found us. And if you've got more questions to me or to Heather, please just pop them in the commentaries. We'll answer them as we can. And if you are an expert and if you enjoy this setting, do come reach out to me and I'll invite you as well. Thank you very much and have a great, great day and get ready to conceive. Thank you. Yay.